Hey everybody. So the first thing I had to do with these boards is join them on one side. I believe there were 6 boards total for the tabletop and 2 for the bench. So here I am. I'm using some roller stands to help guide it because these are 10-foot boards. And right here I'm cutting the boards to width, and I realized that this table saw is, man, it's small. It's worked fine for every other project up till now, but this was a pain in the butt. With these long heavy boards, I really need something. I really need to upgrade into a bigger saw. Anyways, now that I have them all cut to width, I basically just laid them out and reorientated them until I got the grain pattern that I liked. And then after I got the grain pattern that I liked, we will be cutting biscuits into the boards. Right here's my biscuit joiner. I just made marks on the boards and then ran the biscuit joiner on those marks, and I just did 2 boards at a time. So I did these first 2 boards, cut all the biscuit joints, put them in some clamps, put glue on one seam, and then you got to put the biscuits in the biscuit holes or the slots. Here I am just applying the glue, and then here I am getting the biscuits ready, putting those slots, and then it's just about laying it down and lining them up with the other board, and this helps keep everything nice and in line. So here I go, now slowly tightening the clamps, trying to get even pressure, and then I actually use some cawls too on each end to make sure to reduce any twisting or anything like that. Okay, so I did 2 boards at a time, and then I did a 3rd board, and so I had a half a section, and I did that twice. So now I'm doing the same thing with both half sections of the table with the biscuits. Glued it up, put the biscuits in, and slowly tightening down the clamps. I had to go on the floor to do this because my my workbench is a lot smaller than this tabletop. So here I am tightening all the clamps down nice and tight, and then I do put cawls on either end of this too to try to make it dry as straight as possible, or as flat as possible. And then I'm trimming the ends off, making sure that this jig for my circular saw is perpendicular to the edges. A few passes and we get that end off. And now we're trimming the other end. And these boards were a little over 10 feet long, and I trimmed it up to about 4 inches shy of 10 feet, which is perfect. So the table was about 9 feet and 8 inches. Now I'm doing some sanding up to 220 on the bottom. And what I did not show you is I built this frame. This would have been way too long of a video, so I left that part out. But basically here I am, I'm putting a roundover, I believe it was a 3/8 roundover on the bottom edge all the way around the table. And this ear protection really helps too. I never realized how nice it is having ear protection in the shop. Anyways, here's me putting on a coat of stain on the bottom. This stain is called American Walnut, I believe. I really like it. Notice I'm using gloves too. It saves big time in cleanup. Alright guys, so the table's coming along. This has been kind of a pain in the butt, to be honest, but I wanted to make sure that this was rigid. So basically I took a piece of steel. It's only 16 gauge. I would have went thicker, but I'm not set up for metalworking. So I bent it to follow this angle iron. Again, I did it on the same side. I welded these joints, okay, ground them down, spray painted it black, and centered it. And also what I did was underneath these bolts, this bolt, and this one, and that one on the other side too, I put wood inserts in there, metal inserts, to make them more rigid. And then through the angle iron part, I just screwed in some screws to hold it down. Now, I'm really hoping that this will strengthen it. It's got to strengthen it at least somewhat. I just didn't want any bowing or any possibility of screws just pulling out of it, right? I didn't want to just use screws, okay? So that's why I did that. So I got the one side pretty much done. I don't have any lock washers in here. I'm going to use some blue Loctite in here and there, and then leave those like they are, and then do the same thing to the other side. So I just wanted to show you that. I didn't show you the process because, to be honest, this was kind of just last minute thought that I had, and I figured out how I wanted to do it and kind of just played around with it. So anyways, that's it. All right, I flipped it over and I am flattening the top. I decided I wanted to do this because it was a little wonky still with those pine boards. I made this jig, made it nice and rigid with some angle iron, and just kept making passes. It took a little while, but it was worth the result. It would be super nice to have a big CNC right about now. But now I have this jig and I'll be able to use it for other projects. Here I am taking a belt sander and just getting rid of all the marks that was made from flattening this top. It does make marks and you want to get rid of those, and this was the best way to do it. And then I'm sanding again with the orbital sander, sanding all the edges and the top up to 220 and get that ready for stain. Also, before I stain it, I am rounding over the top edge again with a 3/8 inch round over bit and putting on the stain. I started to get really excited at this point because it really started looking nice. I really like this stain. And then coats of polyurethane. I believe in total I used about 5 or 6, and the reason why I used so many is because I sanded it afterwards up to 3000 grit, and I knew when I sand it that it would take off maybe a couple of layers. So, and then after I sanded up to 3000 grit, I did buff it out to make it look really nice. Alright guys, so here's an update. So, the table, when sitting on the ground, the middle was lower than the sides. So it was bowing downwards. And I thought, I don't want that. So I came up with this idea. I have this threaded rod going in, 2 of them, through the frame on the bottom to the other side. And I have these nuts on the end, which have nylon inserts to keep them from backing out. And I thought, if I can get the ends pushing upward, or rather downward if it's sitting the right way, and start tightening those nuts, it will force the middle to bow back up and get a straight and a flat table. And it's working, and I'm so thankful because this has been a struggle. It's not that the tabletop is not flat, it's that when it sat down, it was, dipping down the middle. So I've corrected it. And not only do these rods correct the flatness and the straightness of the table, it also gives it more stability. All right, so I have these pieces of angle iron on the side also to support it. And this blue tape, this painter's tape, is there because I'm going to spray paint in between there, black, so that, it's just not as noticeable. And just some cosmetic stuff. It's not really important, but I wanted to do it. And yeah, so that's where I'm at with it. So once I get that spray painted, I already tested it out. I flipped it over with a buddy of mine, and it is way better. So once I get that painted, I'll flip it back over, finish the top, and it is done. Now I am working on the bench. That's the bench. And basically I'm gonna do the same thing, because this bench needs to support 4 people. And you're gonna get probably, I don't know, you could possibly get 800 pounds on that bench. And it's 8 feet long. So it just needs to last. It needs to be structurally sound. And so I'm going to do something similar with that. I am not, however, going to use these hairpin legs. I already contacted the customer and said, look, I can use hairpin legs, but I don't trust them. The ones that I bought are rated up to 300 pounds for the 4 legs, and that's just not enough. So what I got these legs. I can't remember what their capacity is, but it's more like, I want to say 600 pounds for the 2. Anyways, and then I'll reinforce it. I just want this stuff to last, guys. I want to build a quality product, and I just appreciate somebody wanting me to build them a table and a bench. I really do. And this has been an undertaking. But you know what? I'm excited to see the reaction when they finally see it. And I'm excited to hear your guys' thoughts when I'm finally done and I flip it over and I show you what it looks like in their home. All right, guys, so I finally have the table and bench done, and I'm very pleased, and I'm going to be delivering them this weekend. It is now Monday. I'll be delivering it this Saturday. I'll show you kind of what I did to make the structure strong on the table and the bench, because the bench has to seat 4 people, which you could have 4 people that are 200 pounds. That's 800 pounds on this bench. So I'll show you what I did, and hopefully you guys like it too. Here it is, guys. Here's the table and bench. So I think I already showed you, but the table here has these supports. Okay, I fabricated some supports with some angle iron there, welded the ends to a bracket, which then I bolted the legs to. Also on the sides, some angle iron all the way down. And then the biggest thing, and get under here, that really made it not only strong but able to make it straight, was these pieces of threaded rod with a nut on each side, with a nylon insert so they won't back off. And I just started slowly tightening them down until it was perfectly flat, or pretty dang close. And then I kind of use the same thing with the bench. See if I can get under here. All right. I'd use different legs than the hairpin legs, because the hairpin legs they weren't going to support that much weight. Got these legs, kind of the same deal here. And then same deal there with the angle iron. And then underneath, all the way through with one threaded rod. And then nut on each side, giving it super support so that when people sit in the middle, or anywhere on it really, it won't allow it to bow. Okay, so anyways, very happy with it. I don't know how many coats of poly I put on, but probably 5 or 6 on the table, 4 or 5 on the bench, and then sanded up to 3000 grit, then buffed it out with some polishing compound. And it is a satin finish, but it might look a little glossy because of the buffing, but that's okay. I like it. Hopefully they like it. Hopefully you guys like it. And it should last a long time. So I'm going to deliver it this weekend, and hopefully the customer likes it. All right, guys, so that's it. I did get some help from my brother-in-law, and he let me use his trailer, and we brought it over there, and they loved it. Now, we did not get a chance to film it or film the reaction, but they loved it, and they did send me some pictures, and that's what you saw at the end there. So I hope you liked the video. There was several things that I did not film simply because I wanted to get it done. It was taking so long to do. There was a lot of things that I ran into. But you kind of got the gist of it. So it's a little bit of a longer video, but I hope you liked it. Anyways, if you guys have any questions about it, let me know in the comments below. And if you liked the video, please leave it a like, please comment, and please subscribe. And we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.